Okay, I know we're running out of time, so I promise I'll take you on a quick journey. For 15 minutes, you're going to forget you're here, I hope. Or maybe you wish you were gone. I want to talk about the space between. Pat and I were talking about a topic that might be valuable, and the space between what is what I'm going to talk about. The space between the things we wish for and the things as they are, okay? And what do we do with that? What I wish for and what is, and how do I handle that? I wish is a really powerful statement. It drives all of us, right? I'm sure many of us in this room wish we could heal from things we just don't talk about. I think we also probably wish we had more financial security, possibly a different job, certainly to cure DMD. Wishing is a form of imagination, and I want to explore that for just a brief moment and what the relationship is between that. Let's look where imagination has taken us. Nikola Tesla, right? He imagined what electricity was, and based on his imagination and inventions, we rest today on his shoulders and oftentimes wonder some of the things he imagined that we still haven't figured out. Rosalind Franklin was often an uncelebrated but important contributor in understanding the structure of DNA. The Wright brothers probably were walking down a dirt path one day and saw a bird and said, I wonder how they do that. I wish we could fly, and they started doing it. I can imagine these guys spent days and weeks and months losing sleep over the idea of flying, and now we jump on a plane and we take naps, right? We don't think about it too often. In less than about 100 years, we went from the covered wagon to the space shuttle. Pretty fascinating. It's amazing how far we've gone in such a short period of time, and that all because of imagination. Now, I think of Pat and her two beautiful boys, Christopher and Patrick. You know, she had the same diagnosis our boys have, and she used her imagination and got busy. In 1994, and for almost 30 years, she was driving progress and change by asking questions and imagining, and here we are today. In fact, I think if we look at the progress here, I don't know why this controller's not working. The progress has been remarkable of what's happened in the last, since Pat got involved. And we're here today because she imagined. Now, I know her enough to know she would say, well, I didn't do it, we did it. And but really, we would all be so lucky, no matter what pocket we're in, to have someone like Pat in our corner. There are limits to imagination, however. I remember my little boy Mitchell, we took him to a little video game place, I don't know what they're called, arcades, and he got inside of a little simulator, and it was bumping, it was like a roller coaster, and he turned to his sister and he said, Ashley, I don't think this is safe. I think I'm gonna get hurt. And it just kept bumping in his cute little face. He got so scared. And so there's limits, you know, sometimes our imagination can take us places we really don't want to go. Imaginations can be helpful when it gives us clarity, when it inspires us to act or stirs a change for the better, when it builds resilience or improves problem-solving skills. But our imagination can also get in the way when it induces procrastination or creates unrealistic expectations or fosters a victim mentality, or when it leads to neglect of the present moment. And I love the present moment. A wish is only the beginning. And like Pat, if we can use our wish, I wish for this, and turn that imagination into action, we can actually become a spark to do something great. If we don't, it can often leave us with the ashes of unrealized dreams. So we talked about I wish. Let's talk about what is for just a brief moment. Facing what is one of the most important things we'll do in this life. Science is all about that, right? We just sat with a panel of doctors and scientists who have to understand what is, not what they wish. You have to build on the foundation of what's real. Some things are real that face us, for example, like bad breath, right? If you're not willing to face whether you have bad breath, it will determine whether you're not going to have a good day. Actually, it'll probably have more impact on whether or not other people have a good day. Other things like traffic jams, rising interest rates, aging, taxes, and so on, natural disasters, the loss of a loved one, chronic diseases. Sometimes we can't do anything about it, but we have to understand the baseline of what's real. Eckhart Tolle taught that whatever the present moment contains, accept it as though you had chosen it. Why would he say that? Because whatever is, and no amount of wishing won't change it. So once we accept that as if we had chosen it, then we can start doing something about it. We can stop fighting gravity and just understanding how it works and move on with our lives. I love Joseph Campbell. He said that we must let go of the life we've planned so as to accept the one waiting for us. A beautiful invitation, in my opinion. Now, defining what is kind of a two-part equation. Oftentimes we stop short of this. We might say, here's my reality. I just don't have a social life. And that's not enough. We need to excavate and dig a little deeper. So for example, you might say, well, why? Part of one of my businesses, we do root cause analysis training. We teach companies how to get to the root cause of whatever their problem is. And so one thing to define a situation, but another to understand why it is the way it is. So for example, if I don't have a social life, I might ask, well, why? Well, I decline my invitations. Well, why? Because I'm too tired. Well, why? Well, maybe I don't get enough rest. Well, why? I don't prioritize very well. I stay up way late at night because I'm chasing squirrels during the day. And so what's interesting about life is sometimes the footpath that gets us in hard situations is the same to get out. The same footpath to get in the trouble is the same path to get out. Accepting reality isn't about giving up on our wishes. It's really about reshaping them, okay? I'm going to share with you a little magic trick, take you to a portal. By the way, I love AI, so a lot of this stuff I've been messing around with AI. Pretty neat. The space between I wish and what is, there's something in between that will open up opportunities in your life in ways you can't imagine. And that's by asking what if, okay? What if? I'll tell you a story one day. I wake up one day after we'd gone grocery shopping, and my little boy, Wyatt, had taken 2 big loaves of bread from Costco and just dumped them out on the floor in the living room. And then he started to shove his fingers through all the slices of bread. And I said, well, Wyatt, why'd you do that? And he says, I don't know, it just felt like a good idea. That was hard. I wished I could have had a sandwich that day. My reality was I didn't get to have a sandwich that day. But you know what I did? I said, what if? What if we go feed the ducks? And that's where the phrase lucky duck came from. I've got dad jokes, I'll be here all night. What if? Now I want to share a quick story about a secret forest that existed in my life. It's magical. There's a point here. I live 26,000 light years from the city center of the Milky Way galaxy. And I live on this really beautiful planet, we all do, in a place called Utah. It's a beautiful desert place. And in my backyard is a little place of scrub oak. It's not very big, but if you take your imagination with you, it's big enough. Well, at the top of our tier, we have this beautiful, grass place. We've done lots of things. We'd, sleep on trams, pitch tents, play volleyball. It was really fun, really beautiful. And behind us was this little invisible scrub oak hiding in plain sight. Well, when my Mitchell was here, he used to go up there with his buddies, and he saw magic that I couldn't at the time. And he'd go up with his buddies and play Nerf gun wars, and his best friend Luke would sit and play with them, and I would see the most beautiful interactions with these kids engaging in their imagination. What if we went up there and did this, that, or the other? And after he passed, that secret forest kind of disappeared from sight for a while. And the seasons would come and go, and we went on with life. And then one day my beautiful wife asked, what if we did something with this place? And so we went up there to this ordinary overgrown piece of scrub oak, and Natalie started digging out, big logs and pulling out weeds, and we started following suit. And so me and my kids got up there, and you can hardly see them here, but we built a little pond. We just wanted to see what we could do. And I actually got hurt. I lost a toenail, and for about a year it took to grow back. So wear shoes. But this little forest was hiding in plain sight. And then one day, as we were walking around in there, just seeing what else we could do, we noticed a big bird nest. And we thought, well, what if we put a bird nest up there? What would happen? And all of a sudden, we started seeing wildlife show up that never did before. Natalie said, let's put a bird feeder. What would happen if we did that? And all of a sudden, we started seeing little tiny birds that didn't ever show up, all of a sudden started showing up. Natalie asked once, what if we took a trail and we carved out a trail and put some chairs up there? What would happen if we had that as a little overlook to see the valley? And we did, and it was awesome. And then she said, let's carve a little path, and that path became this gateway into this magic forest. One day she said, well, what if we carve out a little place to read books inside of there? And you're gonna see a point here, there's a pattern. So we carve out a little path, we threw some old outdoor furniture up there, and under the canopy of leaves, we would sit in the hot summer, read books, and just sit and have conversations. And it was simply magical, just out of ordinary scrub oak. And we'd invite friends, and it all became kind of the neighborhood thing. People would come over and see it. We went back and revisited the pond, and we said, what if we actually built it for real? You know, put a concrete base and put some fish in there, and we created a sanctuary. This beautiful place. And you know what was interesting? As we did that, all of a sudden more and more wildlife started to show up. I wake up one day and I said, what if we turn that little forest into a rainforest? So I put a bunch of sprinklers, and I'm pretty extreme, just flooded this thing with water. And next thing we knew, things started to grow. Things got beautiful, got lush, and it was absolutely beautiful. As I mentioned, wildlife would show up in ways we'd never seen before. Nature just started blooming. Did you know that if you put seeds in the dirt and water it, like stuff happens? And that was super cool. I come from a family of farmers and outdoorsy dudes, and you know, it's one thing when you start doing it and cultivating your own space and making it beautiful. It's just really fun to see nature do its thing. My mom got so excited, she mailed me a bag of wildflowers so we could get crazy with it. And we got to enjoy it. And the thing when we started putting energy into this space, the space became beautiful and gave us energy back. We even put Mitchell's little marker there and made a little memorial for him. But wildlife started coming in droves because we started caring for this. Let me just show you a little tiny, we were digging out some dirt in an area, and I noticed this little snail. I don't think we have audio. But this, can my AV guys look at the audio? Yeah, anyway, we'll skip that. But anyway, this little tiny thing started showing up in ways I couldn't imagine. And it was really fun to start noticing those little things hiding in plain sight. Have you ever seen a baby deer? They're so beautiful and tender and trusting. And we started seeing scary things too. Raccoons aren't cute and they're not nice. We have tarantulas. We started attracting a lot of those. I'd catch maybe 5 or 10 of those a year in my backyard. Then, on our last year, we sold our house 2 years ago. The last year, we noticed an owl. And this is when we were in the height of our secret forest, and we saw an owl. And they may be wise, but they're not nice either. I'm pretty sure they want to eat us alive. They're mean. I'm almost done with the forest. But then we started going, you know, night was magic. And even though we had owls and spiders and raccoons and scary things, we also had lots of beautiful things. So we started, you know, we'd bring movies up there and we'd sit on the edge of the forest, and it became like a little tiny planet for us. And then I started putting little firefly lights everywhere, and it became magical. At night, those things would just turn on, and it would just felt like we were living in a different place. And we would sit inside the forest glowing with warm light. And it was absolutely amazing. You can hardly see it here, but these moonlights here were along a path, that tall path I mentioned in the very beginning. Made a little fake fireplace, and that was pretty fun. We'd have, you know, it wasn't really the fireplaces and the lights that made it magical. It was the space we created to have meaningful conversations with my kids and our friends, and that's what this is really all about. What if we did something with the space to make something magical? The last thing I'll show you is something pretty cool. And I bought a little tavern. It's a big movie prop. You could fit maybe 2 adults inside of it, cramped. And I put the tavern in the head of the forest and started just going crazy and started putting together little details. And it was pretty fun, pretty magic. And that's even a little baby fireplace that turns on. You'll see that in just a second. So at night, the lights would turn on and that little thing would start flickering. And inside the tavern, you'd have the soundtrack that would play 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I hope I get audio working because I want to show this to you. So you're about to hear the sounds of a tavern. Can you hear that? It's like tavern music, and there's people talking. And about every 45 minutes, I engineered the sounds of a tavern bar fight. Here we go. It literally felt like, and then it would just kind of die down. And we'd be sitting out there, and I'd have like grown adults come up there, and we'd have meetings, business meetings in this forest. And they'd be like, what? Like, are there people inside that? But the point isn't about a forest. It's not about, like, you know, making forts like I do. But it's about making magic with the opportunities and asking the question, what if, and how can I make this beautiful? And all of us have an opportunity to do that in our lives. And you could see the little fireplaces. Isn't that cute? That was really cool. That was a neat experience for us. And that became kind of a symbol of our lives, of asking the question, what if? You know, what is was the forest. It was overgrown. There were weeds everywhere. And we asked, what if? And we started doing something to make it beautiful. If you think that's cool, look, just wait and see what I can do with a piece of paper and a paper clip. And the thing is, all of us can do that. We don't need anything specific. We can just start asking, what if? Each of us has a patch of scrub oak in our lives, and we can make that space magical. It doesn't have to be physical. Oftentimes, it's what's going on inside our mind and hearts. What if is quite possibly the most important question we will ever ask in our lives. You know, Mitchell, he would say, you know, I wish I could play sports. Well, what was he had muscular dystrophy. He had weak muscles. He couldn't do sports. So we would ask, well, what if we tried adaptive sports, right? Those are the kinds of questions that unlock opportunities for us. And we had magical experiences in the mountains, helping him ski and feel alive. Today, I wish I had my son with me, but I don't. My what is he's gone. But what if? What do I do with that, right? What do you do with that hard reality? Well, I started asking, what if I made meaning of my experience? And that's what I began to do. I started writing and thinking and creating things to make meaning of that experience. There's a Chinese proverb that says, when the winds of change blow, some people build walls and other people build windmills. So when things get hard, when that hard reality gets tough, do we create a cave? Or do we build something to create energy out of that and make something happen, something beautiful, make meaning? I'll suggest that the space between I wish and what is, that what if is sacred space. I wish plus what if is magic. If you can apply that formula in your life, you will be blessed, I promise you. The magic of your life is inextricably bound to your what if. Now, in conclusion, I want to share a quick video and then some words of wisdom from Pat that I just discovered. We'll need audio. Inside every one of us is a secret place, unseen by the world. A place where we wish, we love, we dream, we long, we grieve. That secret place is in our mind, the space between what we wish and what is. Sometimes, when I visit the corners of my mind, I'm tempted to wish for a life free of pain. But then I ask, why would I be the only exception to human suffering? It turns out pain is a life debt we must all pay at some point in our lives. And wishing it away won't make it so. I've spent enough time in that space, long enough to realize that things don't happen to us, they happen for us. My secret forest trained me to think differently, to discover the magic of asking what if. I learned to accept what was and imagine ways to make it beautiful, and that became a metaphor for my life. Just as the dense foliage of the secret forest held undiscovered beauty, so too does our existence. Those little moments often lost in the in-between, the ordinary things we take for granted, the laughter of a loved one, a warm embrace, the beauty of a sunrise. Those are the things that make life magical. They're the wildflowers waiting to be discovered in the thicket of our daily struggle. Sometimes all we need to do is ask ourselves, what if I slowed down long enough to notice the little things? And just like that, little things become big things. All the time I think about that space between I wish and what is. And I ask myself, what if I embrace what is and learn to see the magic in everything?
Hey, Winnie, can you say Grandpa?
I'm grateful for my teacher, the Secret Forest. It taught me to notice. It inspired me to make something extraordinary out of the ordinary, and most importantly, to take care of my sacred spaces. You know, that space in between. After all, that is where the magic happens. It's always where the magic happens. So there you saw a little snapshot of my little family back then and today with my cute 2 little grandkids that I love. I want to have a whole hour to just tell you about them. But, I read an essay Pat wrote last year and posted, and she said something really profound at the end of it, and I was so moved by it, and I think it blends really well with this final challenge I'm just going to give all of us today. She says, live fully, love generously, care deeply, speak kindly, and do something worth doing. I thought that was such a beautiful comment, beautiful invitation. In the context of what we wish for and the hard realities we all face, if we can sit in this space and ask what if, I would just add one more thing to this. Ask what if, and then do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. That was really lovely. This is why I love him, because of how he says, what he says, and how he does. So I thank you all for being patient with us and with our technology. We're going to go to break, and then we're going to come back with more of today. So thank you again.